Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. We are here tonight to do week 27, the Big Fuss Combo Show, where we missed on Sunday for the weekend wrap up. We're going to do these shows together. So welcome in to College SportsCast, the Big Fuss Show.
Can I please have your attention?
There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
Welcome in, everyone. It's Brad with College SportsCast. We are here tonight to do the Big Fuss Combo Show. A little bit about over the weekend and what's happened the last 2 or 3 days. I've got John Hammonds on with me at the bottom. What's up, Hammonds? And I have Jason Harrison on with me at the top right. What's up, Jason?
What's going on, Brad?
Too busy to tell is all I know. So I got to go to the alumni game for the women's Kentucky game on Sunday and cover that. And that was a pretty fun time. I got to pretty much meet Ryan Howard, who was the number 1 pick in the 22 WNBA draft. She didn't have a whole lot of time because she's actually working as an assistant coach on the Florida staff, and that's who they were playing. But she was there. That was pretty cool. Stacy Reed was there. Stacy Reed Shepherd was there. Valerie Steele was there. A lot of cool people was there from Kentucky women's past. Of course, Matthew Mitchell and a lot of his players was there. So it was pretty cool to do. What's been going on with y'all? Y'all have anything cool going on that you guys got to do in the last days?
Well, the girls basketball high school start district next week, starting Monday, I believe. This last 2 days, these next couple of days are their last home games, and the boys have the final home game Friday night, senior night. So we're kind of going into postseason play in the high school circuit. It's starting to get into district regionals. I think regionals start not next week, but the following week here in Kentucky. So lots happening. College baseball has started back. It just started back, I guess, this past week, I guess. So
This past weekend, Friday.
yeah, you know,
Yep.
there's a lot to go over. There's a lot to
I
talk
want
about.
to give a shout out. I want to give a quick shout out to the Gulf Shores Dolphins girls team. They play tomorrow morning in the Elite 8 of the 5A championship tournament in Alabama. If they win, they will be in the Final Four and go to Birmingham. And it's a pretty big deal. They will be in the Final Four for the state championship. They are 28-6. And I mentioned them in my last show. I have 3 girls that are seniors on that team that I was an AAU coach for in high school. I mean, when they were in middle school. And I'm really kind of keeping track of them. Maggie Myers, Alyssa Thompson, and Maya Griffin are the 3 girls.
Quick time here. Do you want me to go over the college basketball scoreboard for Saturday and whatnot? Since we didn't get to do that.
You know what I want to start with, if you got it up. So the NCAA announced their top 16 on Saturday before the games were played on Saturday, and there is a few surprises on there. I don't know if you call them surprises, but there's a couple of spots on there that I didn't think should be there to begin with, and one or two of them lost on Saturday, so I'm sure they'll be punched out of there. But
I got it pulled up though.
okay,
In the overall seeds listed in parentheses here, this is I'm just going to go down the line here. In the Midwest, which is the Detroit region, you had the 1 seed Purdue, which was the overall number 1. Tennessee was the 6th overall team. They're the number 2 seed. 3 seed in that region in the Midwest was Baylor. There was the 10 overall seed. And the 4th seed was kind of a surprise, really. San Diego State was the 14th overall seed in the Midwest. I think you could have switched a couple teams out with San Diego State, but I think basically what they was going at was the last 2 games that San Diego State won. I think they deserved it a little bit because they won some really good games there.
yeah, they beat New Mexico.
But from there, the East region is in Boston this year. Connecticut was number 1, the 1 seed. They was number 2 overall. Number 2 seed, number 5 overall was North Carolina. 3 seed was Iowa State. They was 11th overall seed. And the 4th seed in this one was kind of Wisconsin, man. Like I don't agree with this one.
There you go. That's the one that I didn't agree with, and then they wind up losing on Saturday.
Here's the thing with Wisconsin. I think they got 6 quad 1 wins, but the last couple of weeks they've went down a bad, really bad.
4 in a row, then they won 1, and then they lost again on Saturday. So I mean, they're on a downward spiral. I just don't think they deserve the 4 seed right now.
No, I don't. Now Iowa State, they're trending upward, which they lost last night to Houston, which a lot of teams lose to Houston on the road. That's just a given. But
that's not a bad loss. So
in the South, this is the Dallas region. You got number 1 seed Houston is the 3 overall. The 2 seed was Marquette. They was number 7 overall. The 3 seed was Alabama, the number 9 overall. And number 4 seed was Illinois, and they was 15th overall. There's a couple places in here where I thought you could maybe slide Clemson into, maybe Clemson or a few other teams. But overall, I think they got that bracket kind of right, which Alabama, everybody's going to complain because Alabama is the 3 seed, but they really don't have any bad losses, and they lost to some really good teams, and they made up with that in the SEC, which is a big thing because I think ain't they first in the SEC right now? So
they are.
So with that said, we move to the West. That's the Los Angeles. Number 1 seed was Arizona. They was the 4th overall reveal. 2 was Kansas. I don't agree with this one now. I don't think
Kansas being 2.
I don't think Kansas should be a 2 seed.
They was
the 8th seed. They was the 8th overall. And then you got Duke. A lot of people's going to kind of go if and ands behind that one, the whole Duke thing. I think Duke's got some really good losses. And then they have a few little stinkers in there. The Pitt game, for one, which Pitt, I think, is kind of slowly getting to the bubble as we speak. And then you had the 4th was Auburn. They're the 13th seed. And Auburn.
Okay, whose birthday is it? His birthday? Maybe happy birthday to him?
It must be Daniels. So,
Okay, go ahead.
And Auburn was the last. They was the 4th seed, 13th seed. And a lot of this is going to change between now and Selection Sunday.
Oh, absolutely. But this was the first top 16 that come out. It come out on Saturday. I think they do these weekly now, leading up to
a lot of these 4 seeds and a lot of these 3 seeds, I think, will change. Now, the 2s and 1s, I don't think you're going to see much difference.
Jason,
because
I got to ask you, what do you think about Kansas being a 2 seed?
I mean, they've had they had a lot of quad 1 victories. And if you look at it, you know what I'm saying? They could be a 1 seed. They could be a 1 seed, depending on which Kansas team you get. I mean, they're up and down. They started up hot, had some good wins. I think they play better at home than they do
But
on
do
the
you
road.
get
They do
do
play
you
better
get
at
the
home.
Kansas? Do you get the Kansas team at Fog Allen, or do you get the Kansas team that's on the road? Like
That's what I'm
that's
saying. I mean, that's
the biggest-
the slippery slope. That's the slippery slope
Yeah.
right there with Kansas.
Well, they did win a really good win, pick up a really good win in Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's been kind of on a downward spiral as of recently. They haven't been playing as well. If anybody watched that game Saturday, Oklahoma, like they shot absolutely horrific. Like it was, they could not get anything going. It was just, to me, it was just an ugly basketball game, which Kansas did what they did to do, and they need to do and win. But if you watched it for the first 40 minutes, it was really tough to watch.
I'm just saying, with their losses mounting up, I think there is other teams. I actually think, in my opinion, Iowa State has a much better resume right now, coming up, than Kansas do. They're higher in the Big 12 than Kansas is. They have a much better record in the same tough conference.
Mm-hmm.
I actually
But
think Iowa State deserves that 2 seed more than they got a 3 and Kansas got the 2. If it was me, I would swap them 2.
But you do know that they're basing a lot of things on draw, right? Kansas fan base it's a blue blood, and they're gonna travel, and so of course they got to predict. They're playing. They're playing with it right now. They're putting things
I
out.
mean, it's early, and I'm not saying this is going to be set in stone or nothing. It's going to change, and I understand all that. I just think Iowa State's been playing a lot better ball than what Kansas.
I agree, but then Iowa State go on the road and show what that road is really like. They run up against Houston, playing at home,
Right.
and they get beat. Just like
Yeah.
South Carolina got mollywopped in Auburn. So man, it's about that
Yes.
time of the year where
Yes.
people start to separate themselves.
That's a good word, Jason.
Huh?
I said mollywopped. That's a good word.
Mollywop, man. Instead of trying to be clean with it. you know what I really want to say. They got waxed.
Yeah, I got you. That's a good word. All right, I just wanted to hit that real quick. It's the first time this year that they put out the top 16 with the seeds in mind. They'll be doing that. So now, John, if you want to hit Saturday and Sunday scoreboard, you can real quick.
Alabama beat Texas A&M 100-75. Iowa State beat Texas Tech 82-74. TCU went on the road and beat Kansas State 75-72. Nebraska beat Penn State 68-49. Virginia beat Wake Forest 49-47. Butler went on the road to Hinkle and Creighton went on the road to beat Butler and win at Hinkle 79-57. Richmond beat George Washington 90-74. Boston University beat Navy 74-65. The Citadel beat UVMI 76-51. Purdue Fort Wayne beat Detroit 83-69. Maryland Dickinson won 93-74 over St. Francis, Pennsylvania. Florida went on the road to Georgia and won 88-82. Wright State beat Robert Morris 101-71. Houston beat Texas 82-61. Maryland, Baltimore County City 80-75 over Albany. Dayton beat Fordham 78-70. Army beat Holy Cross 59-53. Akron beat Buffalo 73-62. Coastal Carolina beat Marshall 74-67. Colgate, which I think they picked up the number 1 seed in their conference tournament this past weekend. They beat Bucknell 62-50. That's the toothpaste team, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Drexel beat Campbell 81-66. Duke went on the road and beat Florida State 76-67. Hofstra beat Northeastern 82-62. Kent State beat Northern Illinois 85-47. LaSalle beat UMass 82-81. Lehigh beat Loyola Maryland 75-70. Mercer beat Sanford 88-84. Mississippi State beat Arkansas 71-67. Delaware went to North Carolina A&T and won 62-54. North Carolina beat Virginia Tech 96-81. Oklahoma State upsets number 25 BYU 93-83.
That was a bad loss by BYU.
There was. Longwood beat Presbyterian 81-73. Stetson beat Florida Gulf Coast 61-60. Missouri State beat Valparaiso 82-74. Lemoyne beat Stonehill 75-67. Hampton beat Towson 67-61. Iowa beat Wisconsin in overtime 88-86. Duquesne beat St. Joe 66-56. Abilene Christian beat Stephen F. Austin 63-62. Cleveland State beat Youngstown State 81-73. Connecticut dominates Marquette at home 81-53. Louisiana Tech beat Florida International 70-68.
That was a whooping right there.
Vermont beat Maine 68-57. Oakland beat IUPUI 107-59. Tulsa beat Rice 93-82. Western Kentucky beat New Mexico State 72-58. Merrimack beat LIU Brooklyn 83-68. Alabama A&M beat Mississippi Valley State 80-57. Southern Miss beat Texas State 78-74. Eastern Michigan beat Bowling Green 69-60. Miami, Ohio beat Ball State 80-59. South Carolina loses at home to LSU 64-63. St. Bonaventure beats Davidson in overtime 81-80. Binghamton 69, New Jersey Tech 55. Alcorn State beat Bethune-Cookman 69-54. Monmouth beat Stony Brook 84-61. Arkansas State beat South Alabama 76-73. Lafayette beat American 68-62. Arkansas Little Rock beat Southern Indiana 80-62. Boston College beat Miami 85-77. Cincinnati goes on the road and beats UCF 76-74. Delaware State beat Coppin State 66-56. Denver beat North Dakota State 77-71. Howard beat NC Central 90-82. McNeese State beat Nicholls State 74-47. Kansas goes on the road and beats Oklahoma 67-57. UC Santa Barbara beat Hawaii 77-71. Sacred Heart beat Wagner 63-53. Western Carolina beat East Tennessee State 70-65. Norfolk State beat South Carolina State 71-67 in overtime. UMass Lowell beat Bryant 86-77. Gardner Webb beat South Carolina Upstate 73-65. Appalachian State wins another one, 85-73 over Louisiana. Eastern Illinois beats Lindenwood 72-57. Morgan State beat Maryland Eastern Shore 70-65. UNC Asheville beats Charleston Southern 86-55. Southeast Louisiana beat Houston Christian 81-78. Tennessee Martin upsets Morehead State 88-82. Western Illinois beats Tennessee State 68-61. SIU Edwardsville beat Southeast Missouri State by 4, 80-76. Texas A&M Commerce beat Texas A&M Corpus Christi beat Texas A&M Commerce 86-63. Lipscomb beat Central Arkansas 85-68. Arkansas Pine Bluff beat Alabama State 80-74. UC Riverside beat UC Davis 67-61. Weber State beat Eastern Washington 90-84. Idaho beats Idaho State 55-53. Lamar beats New Orleans 94-72. Sacramento State loses to Northern Colorado 80-75. Troy beats Louisiana Monroe 85-57. Georgia Tech knocks off Syracuse 65-60. Maryland defeats Maryland Illinois defeats Maryland 85-80. Colorado State beat Utah State 75-55. Northwestern State beats Incarnate Word 81-61. Kentucky goes on the road and beats Auburn 70-59. Harvard beats Columbia 80-75. Cornell beats Dartmouth 89-80. James Madison beats Georgia Southern 87-80. Middle Tennessee State beats UTEP 96-90. Brown beats Pennsylvania 71-64. Tennessee 88. Vanderbilt 53. Grambling State 66. Texas Southern 63. Washington State 72. Stanford 59. Washington State is now ranked in the top 25 at 21.
Yeah.
Baylor beat West Virginia on the road 94-81. Jackson State beat Florida A&M 77-55. Pittsburgh beat Louisville 86-59. Southern beat Prairie View A&M 77-71. Southern Illinois beat Indiana State 74-69.
That's 2.
UNC Greensboro beats Wofford 58-47. Central Michigan beats Western Michigan 69-42. Elon goes to UNC Wilmington and knocks off I can't remember UNC. What was their
I don't remember.
I can't remember, but they won on the road there. Georgia State beats Old Dominion 68-65. Portland State beats Northern Arizona 83-68. High Point beats Radford 99-74. UC San Diego beats Cal State Fullerton 76-69. Eastern Kentucky beats Bellarmine 75-65. Providence beats DePaul 81-70. Sam Houston State beats Liberty 83-73. Texas Arlington beats UT Rio Grande Valley 89-70. Boise State beats Fresno State 90-66. NC State goes to Clemson and wins 78-77. Princeton beats Yale 73-62. Grand Canyon beats California Baptist 79-76. Michigan State beats Michigan 73-63. Long Beach State beats Cal State Northridge 87-73. North Dakota beats Oral Roberts 78-65. California beats Washington 82-80. Wisconsin Milwaukee beats Northern Kentucky 73-72. St. Thomas, Minnesota wins again 83-80 over South Dakota. South Dakota State beats Nebraska Omaha 85-77. Austin Peay beats North Alabama 87-79. Ole Miss beats Missouri 79-76. Actually, that game was a lot bigger than what it was. Missouri come back in that game. Utah Valley beats Southern Utah 78-75. Gonzaga beats Pacific 102-76. San Francisco beats Loyola Marymount 82-59. Montana beats Montana State 88-69. Seattle beats Utah Tech 66-65. Arizona beats Arizona State 105-60. Wyoming beats San Jose State 80-75. UC Irvine beats Cal State Bakersfield 77-71. Oregon beats Oregon State 60-58. Pepperdine beats Portland 91-70. Santa Clara beats San Diego 82-69. Colorado wins in final 2 overtimes over USC 92-89. And then you had Nevada beating UNLV by 3, 69-66. On that note.
And that, my friend, is the full rundown of last Saturday's games.
And I'm just on Sundays, I'm just going to go by some key games that was played.
Actually,
Charlotte again over Wichita State, 72-61. Loyola Chicago wins again. I think they're tied for first place in the HN. Yeah. So Sister Jean might be making another appearance in the tournament, hopefully. South Florida. What a job Abdur Rahim is doing in South Florida, man. Upset Florida Atlantic 90-86. Yeah, Ohio State upsets Purdue
with an interim coach, by the way. First time.
Interim coach, 73-69. Going down through here, there wasn't a lot of. Furman beat Chattanooga, which was big. Furman's getting healthy at the right time, 82-65. Illinois State wins again. They beat Evansville. That's, for me, they beat Evansville and Indiana State. They could be a sleeper in that tournament in the MVP. UAB beat North Texas. Indiana loses again at home to Northwestern. The Indiana
is Woodson on the hot seat?
I think he is. SMU beats Memphis 106-79. Which we'll talk about Memphis later on in the show. So.
Man.
Seton Hall beat St. John 68-62. Minnesota beat Rutgers 81-70. And UCLA finally lost a game. Utah picked up a big win at Poly Pavilion Sunday. And that's your rundown for the weekend.
For the weekend. There was one ranked game yesterday. That was Houston and Iowa State at Houston 73-65. And then tonight's scoreboard, ranked teams. You got Creighton. This is a big score right here. Creighton is leading UConn 41-27 with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter or first half. So they're leading UConn by 14 right now.
I'm telling you, Omaha is a really hard place to play. Creighton, that place when they're playing really good basketball, it's one of the most electric places.
Tennessee went on the road to a Missouri team who has 0 SEC wins, was behind at halftime, and only won by 5. They did come back. They won by 5, 72-67 at Missouri.
If I remember correctly, Missouri was up 8 in this game.
Yeah, they were up 5 or something like that at halftime. They were ahead
until Dalton Connect happened.
Yeah. So
see, here's my biggest thing, and why I'm going to say this while we're on this topic. I get that Tennessee has to have, the numbers with Dalton Connect. They're great and all, but they're going to have to look for other guys besides Dalton Connect when it becomes tournament play. He just simply can go off. He simply can go off for 30 or 35 every night, and the rest of them not do a thing. Like, it's got to be a team thing. I think Jonas Adu is playing really good in the middle, but somebody besides
Adu, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Adu. Jonas Adu, Adu, well, whatever you say it. But
you got Meshach or whatever his name is, and there's a bunch of weird names there.
Meshach. I just think they're going to have to look for somebody besides Dalton Connect when it comes
to the Bible. You got Meshach, Adu, you got
and Abednego.
I don't know.
But seriously though, man, like Dalton Connect, he can't do everything. Like he just simply can't. I mean, you can't give him 35 and then everybody else just not have. You had that the other night with Kentucky when Josiah Jordan James got 26, I think 25. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen every single night.
I told you that James was going to have a big night against us, didn't I?
Yeah. I just think they got to do more.
Him and Ziegler were going to have big nights just because it was against us, and that's exactly what
think they got to. I just Jason's played college ball. I just think you gotta have more than 35 from one man every single night. Like you can't depend on one guy every single night. Like it.
No, you can't, especially when it comes to that tournament time.
Yeah.
Teams gonna have enough film. They're gonna take your best player away, so they're gonna have to get more scoring.
I got a question for you guys. You ready? Are you taking UConn or the field? Who do you have?
God, it's a tough question, man.
I'm gonna say the field. When was the last number one overall seed?
Been a while.
When the last time the UConn
has played? I mean, they wiped the floor with Marquette the other day, who was ranked.
Yeah, but let's be fair. UConn's pretty hard to beat at home.
You wanted to talk about UConn tonight, so this is my question for you, and you can put in what you want to say. But are we taking UConn or the field?
I think you got to take the field right now, because I'm like Jason. Like it's really hard to win back-to-back national championships.
It is.
When you got a target on your back every single night, and look like tonight, Creighton's come out firing on all cylinders, which could change in all of a matter of minutes. But
I'm on our podcast on each back.
And I tell you, too, the field this year is absolutely wide open. Anybody can win it. Anybody can, have that one night where they just look really good, invincible, and knock them off. Do I think they get back to the Final Four? Yes. I think they get back to the Final Four, but do I think they win it?
With
No.
Purdue losing, UConn's the clear number one right now overall.
Yes. I think they're the best team, period, as of now. But going forward, though, I think I would take the field because it's really, really difficult to win back-to-back national championships. It's really tough.
Now, don't get me wrong.
Kentucky could have done it 3 years in a row had they not lost to Arizona.
In 97.
They win in 96, 97, 98. Kentucky could have won it 3 straight years.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. UConn has the team to get it done.
They do.
Everything has got to work for them. What I really think they're missing this year is that shooting.
Yeah.
Who's the guard that got drafted by the Pelicans? He was their marksman. I can't say his name. I'm looking dead at him. Can't say him. Angel Reese's cousin. What is his name? Man. But they're missing just a guy who can just heat up in a quick second. I think they have a better team, but you're missing two. Well, you're missing two guys. You're missing the guy who played the point forward, who got drafted by Milwaukee.
You talking about Jordan? You talking about Jordan Hawkins?
And Jordan Hopkins, yes. You talking about two big guards that they had. They had a big shooting guard and they had a big point forward.
Well, they had Jordan Hawkins, they had Sanogo, and then they had, I think, was Jackson one of them?
I think so, because he got drafted by and Sanogo didn't even get drafted. That just show you how the NBA is.
I mean, I think right now, of course, UConn's down 14 right before halftime here, so looking like they're looking terrible. And that's just my luck here. When I want to build them up and make them look like the best team in the country, they're looking like crap. But that's how it goes, right, Jason?
Well, it's what's happened all year in college basketball. Every single night, there's been something happen every single night.
But I mean, before this game started tonight, I would say UConn is by far the leader right now as the number one overall seed.
Right now they are, yeah.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to throw that question to you. I'm going to stay in the Big East. Over the weekend, Rick Pitino had some very interesting comments after a ball game that they had a 19-point lead in and lost to Seton Hall.
Here's the thing about Rick Pitino.
They're 14-12 now. They've lost like 8 out of their last 10 ball games in conference play. And Pitino's not having any fun. That's all.
Here's the thing about Pitino that people don't realize. He did this at Louisville. He did this at Iona. He did this at Kentucky. He's done it basically everywhere he's went. That's just who he is. And he's throwing his players under the bus. He's talking about they're unathletic. He's talking about how this is the worst season ever, and it's the most unenjoyable season. Here's the question I ask you though. If he says that about his players, did he recruit those players?
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
You're recruiting them.
Come in and told the rest of them to get out of there, and they all transferred out. And few of them are playing good. Matter of fact, AJ Storr is playing really well. Butler's got one that's playing well. I mean, there's some good players that transferred out of that St. John's team.
I think the only one they really kept was Soriano.
In the was the big guy. Yeah,
big guy in the middle. Yeah.
that's the only one that he kept, and all the rest of them he got out of the transfer portal just about.
So if you're going to talk about,
go ahead. I'm
just
thinking.
saying,
I was saying with Patino, you got to understand he was dominating a smaller league, and he forgot that quick how much parity it is when you don't get your type of player. Because basically, you know what he's saying? I had to go to the portal and try to put together a team because I got the job late. You see what I'm saying? By the time he got the job, the porter had already been jumping. So he can't recruit. He really don't want to bring no players with him. And so he thought in his mind he was going to catch lightning in a bottle. Once you don't do that, you start not to liking your team. And that's where he's at right now.
I just think it's a little bit funny that he's on there complaining, talking about, listen, I would be upset if I was coaching and I was losing. I would be upset, and I'd probably say some stuff too. I'm not going to sit here and act like I would be okay with it because Lord knows I wouldn't be. So, his comments were a little bit funny over the weekend. He basically called his players out, called them unathletic. He talked about how this was the least enjoyable season that he has ever had in coaching, and several other things as well. I just thought it was kind of funny, his comments. Like I said, they have lost 8 out of 10 conference games. They're now 14-12. So
they're sliding to where they was on the bubble. They was like safely in to pretty much all the way out.
They're out right now completely. Yeah.
So.
And if they don't turn it around in the last 5-6 games here, they may not even make the NIT.
There's a big game next week against Butler. I think that's a losers out type game. Because if I'm not mistaken, Butler lost tonight to Villanova. So Butler's kind of.
I don't know if they lost or not.
Butler's kind of teetering on the brink too.
All right, Jason. I'm going to ask you this one first because I know you're fairly close to Memphis here. So what has happened to Memphis? They started out so well. They were like 11-1 or something like that. Beat some good teams, and Penny had them ranked in the top 25. And as soon as they got ranked, matter of fact, I think early on, but right as conference play started, I think they reached the top 10. They were 10th in the country one week in a poll.
And what's so crazy, Brady, that you asked me about that? I got a good friend on that staff that I could call right now, and he probably would tell us exactly what's going on. I just think the success that they had, because, when Calipari was in Memphis, y'all remember when Calipari was in Memphis, the Memphis Tigers were bigger than the Memphis Grizzlies. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
It was more popular. Memphis Grizzlies were begging people to come to the games, but John Calipari was selling it out the whole time. So I just think that it's been so long since that they were ranked that, that success can go to your head. And then you forget about what you actually did.
Because they were ranked 10th in the country.
They got as high. They got as high as 10. You're exactly right. So it's just one of those things, man, and Penny's frustrated. I heard him doing the interview, and he was just saying, man, the way we effing losing, it just sucks. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? That's one of the reasons why I didn't see myself coaching in college that long because, man, if you're a competitor, and Brad, you're a competitor, John, I know that Hammers, I know you're a competitor as well. But when you're pouring into people and they're not responding, and you know that you're putting in as much time, effort as they're doing,
so much on the table that they're not putting in,
man. And Penny's very fortunate that this doesn't define him or his livelihood. His bottom line is still his bottom line. But you look at them other coaches, if they get fired, they got to go find another job. Penny doesn't have to. Penny can just sit back, collect, and go do TV. Or, go. He can go be an NBA assistant if he really wanted to. You see what I'm saying? And so he has that NBA tab because he's a superstar, and then he's still selling shoes. So it's not a monetary thing for him. So he is really invested in.
Well,
yeah.
Another thing too, if you watch the game Sunday, they just got down big and they just absolutely quit.
Actually, one of Memphis's players is a transfer from St. John's as well. That was playing the David Jones kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's a transfer from St. John's that Patino could have had.
And there's quite a bit of talent in this team. With Jones, Javon Quinterly, like they're not. It's not like that they're.
I'll be honest with all of you. I thought that Quinterly early was the reason for Memphis's success. I thought he was making the difference for Penny on this team when they were winning in like 11-1 or 12-2 or whatever they reached. Now they're sitting at I think they're like 17-8 or something like that now.
Here's the thing that people don't seem to realize either, though, is going forward in this AAC, this tournament is wide open. You got FAU, you got Charlotte, you got South Florida.
Yeah.
You got Memphis. Like Memphis can, they could
get hot and put it together
and figure it out and win this thing. But it's looking like South Florida is going to win the conference if we're being
right now.
Many people
winning the conference while is a big thing. I'm not going to say it's not, but winning the conference tournament is where it's going to be.
It is. And I'm going to say this while we're up here. Arkansas just went into Texas A&M and won. The question I got for this is Buzz Williams on the hot seat?
Is Eric Musselman on the hot seat? I told you, Eric Musselman is, in my opinion, to answer the first question, I doubted Bud Williams. Bud, they love him down there. Bud is always.
I think that might kick him out of the tournament, though.
I mean, but who knows? But then, not only that, you got to look at this. Musselman is waiting on two things to happen. If what's the coach down at UCLA? Cronin.
Mick Cronin.
Yeah,
Cronin has been linked to the Louisville job. And I said previously that Musselman could be linked to that job as well. Now, if Cronin leaves, I can see Musselman trying, hey, let me get to Cali.
Trying to get to Cali. UCLA, yeah.
Let me get back home to my roots and get these Cali kids. So I don't see Musselman coming back another year because let's face it, man. Right now, who wants to come to Arkansas? Because if you get recruited, you come in as a freshman, you're not gonna play that much unless you're a top 10 kid.
Yeah,
that's just how he plays it. And then
and I think too that people don't seem to realize, Jason, is like with this transfer portal stuff.
I'm going to get to the portal. That's one of my questions. But
his continuing of the portal, we're on. It's great, but some of the guys that he landed this year.
We're not the guys.
We're not the type of guys that he normally gets. It's
we'll dig a little deeper in this in just a few minutes, but I'm going to move on here. I got one more question, John. I'm going to specifically ask this one to you to start with. Can Kentucky continue to play like they did against Auburn with the defense that they showed? Do you believe that Kentucky can continue to play like they did on Saturday at Auburn in the jungle, which is they were undefeated, a very tough place to play?
I think they can. It's all about focus. It's all about putting a game together. If you watched that game, I don't know if you saw it, Jason, Saturday. but there were not many great moments for Auburn in that game for the fans to get together and just say, you know what, we're going to win this.
Kentucky controlled the game for the most part.
Kentucky controlled it from the opening tip until I think when Jalen Williams went down, there was a streak there where they was within 5.
They cut it to 5, once there.
And Jalen got hurt, which praise the Lord, he is okay. Looks like he'll be back. He'll probably be out a couple of games, but we hate to see anybody get hurt. So, but Auburn just couldn't shoot. They was 3 for 21,
3 of 19 or something. So 3 of 20.
And Kentucky didn't. There was a few shots that was contested, but there was a few shots that was wide open. And they just missed.
Well, Kentucky, I'm going to be honest with you. Kentucky, I've been pretty vocal about some of the non-coaching blunders that Calipari has had over the last 2 or 3 years, to be quite honest with you. And I actually believe that last Saturday's game, he actually had a game plan. He used it well. He coached well. He coached the players and played the players right with their minutes that was affecting the game. I have to give him my hand on this one because I do complain about his coaching a lot, and he done really well on Saturday.
Well, and who is better for a team than Antonio Reeves?
That when they cut it to 5, what you was talking about, he put Antonio Reeves in a floppy action. Floppy actions where you have 2 post players. He had a do, and he had Ugana on the post, and they're standing there, and he can go either way, and he can try to lose his man, and they're screeners, and he's coming off either way, and they went to that. He put that in just for Reeves, and they went to that, and Reeves scored. And Reeves scored for Kentucky. And that's what won the game.
I'm going to tell you what Reeves does that really just compared to what a lot of people do is his little side shot where he does the jumper in the lane. Like, it's about as smooth as it gets in college basketball. I don't think nobody has a better one. Maybe probably better than him is probably Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect's probably on that same
Coleman Scott is with us from Talking Kentucky. He says, don't worry, he's going to be at the game tomorrow.
And I'm going to tell you, Calipari, I've not been, I've been really lenient on him this year. But Saturday, he absolutely coached his tail off. Compared to the past games and such, he literally coached his tail off. They was prepared. They was ready to play in a hostile environment. Listen, teams were getting 40-pieced in Auburn. 40-pieced, 30, 20 points. South Carolina went there and got beat by 40. Ole Miss got beat, what was it? Was it 20, Jason? I think it was 20. So that's an impressive win, elite win. Now, is it to say that we need to win that game and then come up and lose a couple more? No. Need to play consistent every single night.
What I'm saying is, can Kentucky put that kind of effort together and finish this season out?
I think they can.
There's 6 regular season games. We got to play Alabama at home this weekend. We play LSU on the road tomorrow. We still got to go to Tennessee at the end of the season. We got to go to Mississippi State, which won't be an easy place to play. So
I'm going to say this, and this is going to be the hot take, whatever you want to call it. You can put this as a clip on your TikTok, and you can use this wherever you go because this is what I believe. I believe when we look back going forward to the SEC tournament and onward, I'm not saying Kentucky's going to get to the Final Four. I'm not saying that of that regard of now. But we're going to look back at that Auburn game and that Ole Miss game these past 2 weeks or these past 2 games and we're going to say, you know what, that was the turning point in the season. That was the game that they really got down and they started playing and they figured it out.
Well, I can tell you this much, John. Before we played Ole Miss, Ken Palm adjusted defensive rating, we were 104. After Ole Miss and Auburn this past week, they have jumped from 104 to 81.
It was 71, I think, wasn't it?
You're muted.
No,
You're muted, Jason.
That's Bart Torvik. He has them at 71.
Yeah, I was talking about the Ken Palm.
They
jumped from 104 to 81.
I'm gonna say it because I know you guys don't want to hear it, but let's just face it, man. Kentucky has too much high expectation. Like let's just put it out there. You know, rich in tradition early on, but before Calipari won, it had been a minute since he won a national championship. Then he comes back with Final Four team. He wins it. It's just tough. And you have a coach that really embraces that. He embraces the controversy, the one and dones. He embraces it all. And sometimes it backfires because sometimes his kids just don't play up to par. I don't think he did
something else too, Jason.
But hold on, let me get this out. I don't think that he did anything differently. He just didn't have certain players. When you don't have certain players, your ball clubs looks a lot different. Kentucky has always been a big team. Kentucky has been playing small ball here lately.
I spoke with a guy. I spoke with a media member today, somebody in national, and we was talking. We just DMing back and forth, and he said that if Kentucky can go into Auburn with the record Auburn had, you know, going into their home record the last 3 or 4 years, he said if they can go in there and play defense like that and win in Auburn, he said they can win anywhere they go.
Well, Auburn was 43. Auburn was 43-2 at home the last 3 seasons.
I'll say this.
Go ahead.
No, I'll say this, and we'll move on to another topic. But if Kentucky can, to answer your question, if Kentucky can defend like they did at Auburn, and get enough offense like they did at Auburn with Reeves and getting crucial shots at the crucial times in the middle with Adu, Thiero, and all those guys, Kentucky could cut the nets down, my man. And that's not just
they got to play the defense to do it.
I'm gonna say this. And
they got the players, Jason. They got the players to play a half-court game.
They got the players to play a half-court game, but
they normally haven't had.
I'm gonna say this. How many seniors does Kentucky have? I think they had 2 or 3. I'm talking about guy whole before you say seniors, guys that been there 4 years, been there 3 years, been there 2 years. You know, that makes a difference because you build pride and you understand the magnitude of certain games.
Well, there's 4 that's been there 2 years.
You see what I'm saying? And so you got to think about that. A lot of times, a lot of kids just don't understand the magnitude of Kentucky. Like when I put on Kentucky jersey,
that's gonna kind of go with my next topic. Okay,
go ahead.
What you're saying there, and I wanted to throw this out at you. And a lot of these teams that we were talking about a few minutes ago that were struggling, Arkansas, we talked about Memphis, we talked about St. John's. A lot of those teams are in this category. They have 7 or more transfers, and 8 out of the 10 teams, there was 10 teams in college basketball that had 7 or more transfers. 8 of the 10 are struggling. Memphis was one of them. St. John's is one of them. Arkansas is one of them. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up to you guys is this. It tells me that while it's okay to add a piece or two to your team when you have a need, you know, let's say you need a shooter, so you go out and find you a shooter, it's good to add a piece or two. But what this tells me is that it takes somebody with a little bit of experience, Jason, what you were just talking about, that's been there 2, 3, 4 years. And these are the teams that are being successful right now in college basketball. And the teams that are bringing in a bunch of new players are struggling, just like Musselman at Arkansas that we were talking about. He brought in so many transfers, and they're struggling with it. Memphis done it, St. John's done it, and there's a bunch of teams here. There was 8 out of 10 that done it. The only teams that are successful, Utah State done it, and they're like 21-5 out in Mountain West.
And another thing too, with all on top of this, is the parity in college basketball. It seems like, and even not even in college basketball, we're talking college football. Every team has different kind of guys that they can go after now in this transfer portal and moving forward in this new age of college football and college basketball.
Coleman, I've been on your podcast.
He's talking about Raphael Little, man. Raphael Little, I think, said something on the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Raphael Little. What's up, Raphael Little? I'd love to have you on our podcast too.
I would too,
what's up,
actually. Straight out of South Carolina. That dude was a really good football player. But like Jason can kind of vouch on this. Like now, the way the NIL is, the way the new age of college football and basketball, every team has got different ways they can build to their roster, and you're seeing that, especially in college basketball. That
Coleman, I'll even give you a shout out there. My
just
favorite
because
Kentucky
you get a bunch
football
of
player,
transfers
Raphael
at
Little.
Arkansas, just because you get a bunch of transfers at Arkansas doesn't mean that you're going to be a great team. You know, it could go from more, you know.
Well, you got to think about it. If you don't, and this goes both ways. If you
Much
do
respect,
not,
Raphael.
if you do not have a good mixture, and I'm gonna say this as well, a good mixture of seniors or juniors, freshmen, and sophomores. I can go back to the national championship Kentucky team. You look at that team. That team had experience and brought in 2 major guys, right? 2 major guys that was very impactful. That and you didn't ask them to score a lot. You see what I'm saying?
Coleman,
So yeah,
why not?
you see what I'm saying? So football is a lot different because you're gonna have stayovers anyway. You're just gonna be losing out on those top recruits who don't come in and play right away. But with basketball, man, it's tough. Because Ole Miss showed you how good they could be at first until you got in the conference play. And then you had to really, really play basketball. You see what I'm saying? Florida Atlantic is another team. They brought back the majority of their team, but they're in another conference. And if they're not lucky and if they're not careful, they might miss the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
they just might. They just might. So yeah, it's different, man. It's different.
Well, so Florida Atlantic is finding out, expectations too. You know what I mean? Like they're finding out kind of what expectations are. Everybody's gunning for you. You made the Final Four last year. You know what I mean?
Well, and another thing, with FAU, they're probably going to be right back in the same position that they was a year ago, where they're going to be in the 8-9 range and probably have to play a 1 seed to even get in go back to the Final Four. Like,
yeah,
they're going to be putting around. It's just,
yeah.
Listen, college basketball, I don't, I'm trying to think. There was a coach that said something the other night. I was listening to a podcast. He said winning college basketball games is tough. Winning on the road is tough. Winning at home is tough. Every night, you don't know who you're going to play, what team's going to come out and play. It's just a different kind of level that you're going against every single night in these conferences every single night. SEC, Big 12, Big East. You look at Creighton tonight. UConn struggling on the road. Like, it's really tough to win basketball games.
Yeah, update on that game. Creighton is ahead 56-39 with 14 minutes to go.
Well,
over UConn.
UConn, welcome to the big show is all I can tell you.
Welcome to the number 1 overall spot where everybody's gunning for you.
Everybody's gunning for you every single night.
Yep. I just want to have a huge shout out here. Raphael Little is with us. He's an ex running back for Kentucky, and just want to give you a big shout out. That's who Coleman was talking about, and I didn't put that together at first. So, but we appreciate you being with us, Raphael, and yeah, you're welcome anytime. And also, my friend here, Coleman Scott, is talking about having you on his show. His show is Talking Kentucky. So, just to put that out there. And the next thing I wanted to mention to you guys is NCAA president today, Charlie Baker, says that he really isn't in favor of the one-time transfer rule, that he thinks players should just be able to transfer anytime.
I agree with him. Because if you make it a one-time rule,
I actually think it should be a one-time rule, but that's my opinion.
But it's gonna cause
because otherwise you have basically wild west free agency where nobody's under contract. There is no contracts. There is no nothing. I mean, it's worse than pro and NFL if you don't do it that way.
It's the new age of college football and basketball. It's just what it is. It is what it is.
Well, I have to say I'm fully on board with a one-time transfer rule, and then you can do it as a grad as well. So you really get 2. If you keep it at one time, you really get 2 because you can do it as a grad student.
Yeah, but what if but the one time you do go there, what if somebody leaves and you're stuck? That's the problem. You got a team that
what did kids do for 70 years, 80 years? I mean, these kids at least get a chance to transfer out.
Here's where I'm going with this. Say you have a team, he transfers to a team, and they're supposed to have a bunch of guys come back. Well, what if a couple of those guys or 3 of those guys go pro and he's stuck by being the only guy? And he's like, oh, well, you know what? I might want to change my mind and go somewhere else because all them other guys are going pro.
Like, if you go to a school and you go there as your freshman year and you play your freshman year and you find out that things are good or bad and you want to stay or go, then you can transfer out. All right. And then you can also do it again a couple of years later after you graduate.
So
that's twice in 4 or 5 years that you can transfer.
I agree with you that this NIL, well, not the NIL, but the transfer rule, it's a wild west. I get it, but until there's some changes made and there's some boundaries made, it's going to continue this way for college football and basketball until there's some rules.
I don't like it, and I think President Charlie Baker is wrong. That's all I'm going to say. And I know Jason is going to fight me with everything that I say on this because he's a player's first guy. He was a player. Jason Harrison played at Ole Miss, so he's going to fight me every which way on the world with it, and I already know this. So go ahead, Jason.
But when he said that he isn't in favor of one-time transfer rule, I understand that, but what took so long? That's why I'm saying I'm for the players because, come on, man, we seen this 20, 30 years ago. We seen this long time ago. We seen this. It was brought to fruition with the Fab Five. Like, those guys, I'm going to go back another step. The Duke teams were very successful, and they probably didn't get much, but them being in a private institution, they were able to get things. I know Coach K made sure that his guys were being taken care of, so he really wasn't a blueprint. I think the only thing that's going on now is I just wish that this would have happened a long time ago.
Here's another thing too, Jason, is I've noticed it back when Jeff Shepard and all them was there at Kentucky, Duke, back in the 90s. You didn't see a lot of transfers, man. Like every so often you'd see a guy.
You couldn't be put out a year. Yeah, you didn't want to sit out a year. You were just, what, I'm just gonna tough it out because I didn't want to give up a whole year.
When they set out a year, they would lose a year. Because you wouldn't have that 1 year.
And I'm gonna ride Brad's coattail for a minute. And I'm gonna get off of it very quickly, but I'm gonna ride it for a minute.
Hey, I understood pretty good about this one.
Because watch, during my freshman year, I wanted to leave. You know what? I got to Ole Miss. Man, we running on the track. I'm like, I didn't come here to be no track star. I hoop. Put me on the court. And so Tennessee State, my best friend was down there. He just didn't tell me. Had he told me that the Tennessee State coach would wanted me like he want, I would have left because guess what? I would have took the easy road out. And that's what the transfer route is really giving these kids.
That's what I don't like about it. Right there,
the easy road out. But here's the thing.
That's what I don't like about it.
Okay, but you can't have it both ways. So when the coach can leave and make more money and leave me with a new coach, what I got to do?
Yeah, but when you're trying to build a career, Jason, I don't give a crap what the coach can do. You can't teach these kids to be quitters.
But you can't teach these kids loyalty either. Be a team, and when the first sign of dollars come,
here's my answer to that.
It works both ways.
It's when they can just quit. When the tough
what is the coach doing? What is the coach doing?
And you can just quit on you. But that's going to ruin your career. What
about the coaches? But what about the coaches?
What if the coach
goes both ways? The coach quit on you because he got a better opportunity. If I'm a player and I think that I can go over here,
always been the case, guys. Always.
But it's never been a case in which I didn't have to sit out. You didn't punish me for leaving.
The coach could leave at any time in 1952. I mean, that's been going on for years.
Times are different now than they was in 52.
But Brad, that's what I'm saying. How is it that a coach can get up and leave and coach the next year? But if I want to leave,
I'm saying as a player to teach these kids, to teach our kids that when the tough gets going, that you can just walk out and find the grass is greener on the other side.
It's not always
greener.
Brad, that's what coaches been doing.
Coaches do the same thing.
Coach do the same thing. Now watch this, Brad. If I'm gonna use us as example, and I'm sharing this with you guys.
Welcome to the fuss, by the way.
Now watch this. Now watch this. I was a part of the first Ole Miss actual NCAA wins, right? The first one. They had been to the tournament, never won. Freshman year, won. Sophomore year, we were terrible. My junior year, made it to the Sweet 16. Coach Barnes had an opportunity to take another job. He didn't. He got a raise, right? He got a raise. Okay, yeah. My fourth year was my last year. Lost UCLA. Boom. So guess what? I come back and say, hey, I want to work for Ole Miss. I couldn't even get a job. Watch this. Had he left and went somewhere else, maybe I could have got another relationship with another coach that could help me, right? See, our coach, you see what I'm saying, doesn't have great relationships with his former players. And that's why I feel the way I feel. Because watch this. A kid who played for Billy Donovan can call him up right now and Billy D will answer the phone. But if we call our coach, oh man, we got to text him. He'll call you back the next day, or he might not even call you back. So, what are you teaching us? You put on us God, family, all this, but when it came time for you to show us family, he didn't show us that, and so that's what I'm saying. Every program is not the same. See, if I not told you that, you would have thought that, hey, I have a great relationship with my old coach. You would
Well, I
think
mean,
that
I would
about
think you would,
everybody.
yeah.
You would
Yeah.
think that, but
Yeah.
like I know, as I got older, I knew cultivating relationships were
Well,
very, very important.
it's
And
sort of
so
like it's sort of like
that's
the
the thing.
situation with Liam Cohen at UK. Like, he's up and running every time there's another job. Like, it's
So
you
you
know.
can't punish these kids because if the coaches can pick up, and then it's two sides.
It's not
If the coaches
about
don't win,
punishing
they
them.
get fired.
It's
If the
about
coaches don't win, they get
building.
fired.
It's
Then
about
they're gonna blame
building,
the players.
making them tough and building and going through adversity. And it's about overcoming stuff. It's about
Yeah, but
teaching
would you? Here's the question: would you want to be on a bad team?
and here's my thing. Y'all keep talking about well the coaches can, and what about the coach? I don't care about the coach. The coach is a 60-year-old man. If he wants to go screw up his life and make an ignorant ass decision, I don't give a crap. But I do care about a 19-year-old kid.
But you can't say that, Brad. Listen what I'm saying.
I can say that because I do. I care if a 19-year-old kid is messing up his life and making decisions because he can't make it through something tough.
Well,
I care about that.
Well, Brad, we do know sometimes, and let's say it, the coaches have their favorites. These my guys.
Listen,
and Brad, you don't know
ball,
this.
Jason.
Brad,
the coaches
Brad,
definitely have their favorites.
They have their favorites. So watch this.
Absolutely.
If Brad, you're the head coach. Me and Hammonds are the assistant coaches. You have your guys that you personally recruited. You took guys because me and Hammond said, let's take them. But when you go to their house and you talk to those parents and you tell those parents, you're my guy, you're going to play no matter what, and you don't play, you got to answer that question, right? Now, if Brad's Jason's guy is not that good, well, this is my guy. It happens. And so kids are not making up.
I'm just telling you guys from my standpoint, I don't give a crap if a 63-year-old man jumps ship and goes somewhere else and makes a bad decision. But I do care if a 19-year-old kid is jumping ship and making a bad decision.
Hey, welcome to the first show. Welcome to the big first show.
Exactly.
All right. But you can't say they're making a bad decision because every decision we make does nothing but build us up and make us better. If I chose to leave and it was a bad decision on me, I have to learn that life lesson. We can't go around protecting
some of the quarterbacks. Look at some of the quarterbacks that left, like say USC and
basketball.
Oklahoma.
We're talking about basketball. Let's stay in one sport. We're talking about basketball. We talking about basketball.
We were.
But if you want to say it, watch this. I'm gonna bring up a name. So you mean to tell me that Sanders should have stayed at Jackson State and now went to Colorado? Maybe he would have had a better year.
But again, so Sanders, what you're talking about,
Shador, yeah.
There, he would have been okay because with the one-time transfer rule, and you could do that.
But what I'm saying is, you transfer somewhere, and then it doesn't work out. Well, that's life. You learn right there. You learn that lesson right there.
But that can happen. That can happen on your decision out of high school. You can go. You can make a decision out of high school, and you can say, "I want to go to this school." And you get there, and you find out that they made you promises, and they're not keeping it. They told you about playing time, that whatever, and you could be like, you know what, crap, I hate this place.
Hammonds, do me a favor. I know you got your phone out. Look up Jalen Tyson. Jalen Tyson is the exact kind of kid we're talking about. Jalen Tyson played on my AAU team, and I'm just going to be real. Jalen Tyson
for California.
Jalen Tyson was an unranked guy. I recruited him tough to play on my AAU team. Played for me during the pandemic.
Played
at Texas Tech. Transferred to Texas. Now at California. Texas Tech, he couldn't get off the bench. No, at Texas, he couldn't get off the bench. He couldn't. So he transferred, had to sit out. Played at Texas Tech. That coach got fired. Now, was he a saint? Probably not. Probably did some things, made some decisions. go all the way, 2-time transfer, goes all the way to California. Every week, I have been talking to NBA personnel about him now. Had he stayed in Texas, probably wouldn't have played. Had he stayed at Texas Tech, probably wouldn't have been the best decision for him.
He's doing somewhere where he's
different.
noticed.
Huh?
He's doing someplace where he's noticed.
Well, I mean, it's about opportunity.
He's doing someplace where he's being shown on the big stage.
It's big stage because, I mean, but he had to wait on the route. He didn't get cleared until right before the season.
Yeah,
the NCAA, he did, because he was a 2-time transfer, even though he sat out and even though his coach got fired at Texas Tech. So he didn't have that opportunity. He had to wait at the mercy of the NCAA. So that's why, because the NCAA doesn't want lawsuits. NCAA and lawsuits are like oil and water. They don't mix. The NCAA wants to keep making billions and billions of dollars.
All that, and I didn't say anything. All I'm saying is I think that we are raising a whole generation and telling them that it's okay to quit when the going gets tough.
I'm not saying we're doing that. We just have an opportunity for them. Remember, I was riding your coattail. I said I was going to ride it for a second, and then I was going to get off.
Jason, you can pull out stories. I mean, yes, occasionally it works out when you go 2 and 3, 4 times, but I can name you some players that have transferred 3 and 4 times that it hasn't worked out too.
It worked both ways, Brad. The player can have something to say, and the coach can have something to say.
Yeah.
It's not going to always work out.
I'm saying that's what I'm saying.
You can't take away my choice. You just can't take away my choice. You can't take away my choice.
And then there was another.
I can leave.
You can't take away that choice because you never, up until about 5 years ago, you never had that damn choice.
Well,
here's another thing.
When the NCAA went from 4-year scholarships to only 1-year agreements.
So don't tell me that they can't take away that
here's
choice.
Another thing.
It was unconstitutional.
We have some that's been in college for 8 years. Look at that one guy was at Miami. He had been hurt a lot.
I know. Don't get me started on that now.
Yeah, but he had been injured some, but
I know. All right. So the last topic that I wanted to get to today was they had their vote today, and the college football playoff did vote in the 5 top conferences and then 7, the highest 7th ranked teams after that being in the 12-team playoff. The top 4 out of the conferences will get a first-round bye. And they voted this in for the next 2 years, and then the new TV deal will take in effect. But here's the big thing that they voted in, and not very many people are talking about it. So Washington State and Oregon State are still in this, and the president of Washington State had to vote today, and he voted for it.
Jason said he had to leave. So
okay, and he voted for it. But what I'm telling you, John, here's this. They actually voted for the next 2 years to give Washington State and Oregon State the full revenue portion. They get the full power conference. It's like $6 million a year they're going to get. So I thought that was pretty good for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. So
yeah.
It's been a fun show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, whenever I talk about that, me and Jason always kind of, I mean, we have different opinions, and we're cool with it. We both know, I mean.
Yeah, we're good. We're still buddies.
It is called The Big Fuss. That's the reason why I call it The Big Fuss Show.
I will say this, just by I'm kind of keeping up with things. UConn's getting a really good humbling tonight by Creighton.
So a quick update. Well, let me say this real quick before. So Friday night, we will have 801 bracketology with us. The last 2 Friday nights, we've had bracketologists on with us. It's that time of year. Thanks to John working to get a few of these. I do know NCAA that was with us 2 weeks well a little bit. I could probably get them on too, but John's doing the work here to get these guys on. So we had NKY bracketology bracket. NKY bracket is his name. And we had T3 bracketology last week. And then this Friday night, we're going to have 801 bracketology. These are
And
all guys.
March 1st, if it all goes down, because the 3rd we're having the NFL guy. That's on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But the 1st, if I can get it, I don't know if I can get it or not, but Ron Slay has opened up. So I don't know yet. He's supposed to contact me tomorrow.
Okay.
It's that Friday night. I think it's the weekend. Hold on a minute. I'm trying to think. It's the second to last weekend before the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
The Saturday before the regular season ends.
Right.
So maybe I don't know yet. If I can't, I'm going to try to get. I've been trying to get some guys that involved with March because I like to do them kind of show.
It's that time of year, so I just I wanted to tell everybody that we're going to have a special show. We've been doing these the last 2 Friday nights, but this is a different guy. This is going to be 801 bracketology.
Yeah, 801's a little. He's a troll sometimes. He likes to have a little fun.
Yeah, he does. 801 likes to have a little fun on there and talk to stuff, but he does a great job with his bracketology, and we look forward to having him on Friday night at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. So we're going to do a little bracketology talk, and then I've been picking some games where there's a bubble team that could win a big game and possibly, get in, and we'll do some game picks with some of those games on Friday night. So we have that to look forward to for Friday night. And I appreciate everybody. Been a great show. We had Raphael Little stop by. I don't know if John had something to do with that or not.
I did not.
You did not?
I did not have anything to do with
That's pretty
that.
cool that we had Raphael Little stop by. So good show. Appreciate Jason being on with us. John said he said he had to run, so yeah, he did. Coleman is asking, do I think this is no, I do not. He is still recruiting his tail off, still, getting commitments, going to all these gyms and flying all over the country to see these kids play, trying to fill out rosters for the next 2 years, 2-year classes actually. And I just don't feel like that's what he's planning at all. So
player of the game, I couldn't even tell you right now. I just know Kentucky's favored by what, 5.5, 6, something like that.
So Coleman he goes to LSU grad school. He's going there to get his doctorate. He graduated from Kentucky, but he's going there to get his doctorate. And so he said he's going to be at the game tomorrow in Baton Rouge. So
let's just do a quick player of the game. Player of the game for me is probably going to be I'm going to go with you go. I think he'll have a big game.
I'm going Antonio Reeves. He's 24 points shy of the 1,000-point club. He has 976 points in 2 years.
I'll add this. LSU is not a really good rebounding team, so Kentucky should rebound tomorrow. Not a great rebounding team.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that Reeves has a big game, gets over 24 points.
They do shoot the three pretty decent, but if Kentucky plays defense like they did the other night, I think Kentucky wins this game by 10 points going away at least. 10 or 11 at least. So.
Coleman, I appreciate you being with us, man. We're going to
Raphael Little, if you're listening, hook us up, brother. We'll get you on and interview you going down because football season will be around them. It goes by quick.
Oh yeah, Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love having
Dumb
you on.
stuff,
We
dumb
do
stuff,
football and everything, Raphael Little and stuff. So just to let you know,
Yeah, Coleman, it's dumb stuff when it comes to Kentucky basketball. They give
Kentucky,
out free shirts,
Kentucky had a big flip today, this morning, bright and early this morning in football. Jaden Smith, linebacker out of Charlotte, North Carolina, who was committed and signed with Michigan on December the 20th. But in the last 2 weeks, he asked out of his letter of intent because Harbaugh has left and they let him out. So he has committed to Kentucky this morning. He is a 4-star, top 300 linebacker. He is the 6th, just on the defensive side of the ball. He is the 6th blue chip prospect that we have coming in just on defense. 9 overall.
Coleman Scott,
overall, but the
Coleman Scott mentioned something. He said they're giving out free canes. I said they give out free shirts, free toilet paper, anything when Kentucky's coming to town. Everybody.
I actually have not looked, Coleman, if I got blocked from Leon Coleman or not. I haven't looked, so I don't know the answer to that.
I have not, so I don't even speak to him. So
yeah, I doubt it because I've never.
I've never really had any
spoke to him. He probably don't know who I am, so I doubt it. Yeah. But that's my he did block some people that were known Kentucky, like reporters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Brad, it's been good, man. It's been fun.
Yep. We will wrap this up and we will see you Friday night for our game day pick'em show with 801 bracketology.